Collegiate DECA International President Eric Bedrosian began his DECA journey at Hamilton Southeastern High School. Today, he serves as International Collegiate DECA President, serving over 5,000 members in over 200 colleges and universities around the world. So give it up for Eric Bedrosian!
Hello, everybody. I've got a question for you. How many of you have ever walked into an opportunity only to be met with doubts about your ability to lead, grow, and adapt? By show of hands. If your hand isn't raised, you might just be a better leader than I was a year ago, because I had those exact doubts. 1 year ago, I stood on this very stage announcing my candidacy for Collegiate DECA President. I spoke about my vision, my goals, and the bold changes that I hope to make. I talked about reshaping the trajectory of our division and redefining what it meant to hold this office. I laid out a plan, a roadmap for the year ahead. But there was something that I did not think about when I wrote that speech. What I didn't realize back then was just how much this experience, this division, this role, and all of you would transform me. Because in all honesty, I never anticipated just how much my life would change over the course of my 349-day term. When I stepped off this stage last year, I thought my path was clear. Grow some numbers, shake a few hands, attend a few conferences, check the boxes, and call it a year. But I was wrong. This year taught me that leadership is never that simple. It is not about a perfect plan. It's about navigating the unknown. It's about being pushed to the edge of what you think you can handle and realizing that that's where real growth happens. Whether it's standing in front of an audience of thousands, making difficult decisions, or confronting the doubts in my own mind, I learned that uncertainty is not a sign of weakness. It's an invitation to rise. Over the course of my 349 days as your Collegiate DECA President, I discovered that leadership isn't about unwavering confidence. It's about embracing self-doubt, stepping forward even when you feel unprepared, and building resilience in the moments when everything feels uncertain. This year has given me lessons that extend far beyond the walls of a classroom, lessons that no internship, no textbook, no 9-to-5 job could ever teach. Lessons that, no matter the cost, could never be bought. And now, standing here tonight, I am not the same person that I was a year ago. That version of me that stood on this very stage hadn't yet been tested, hadn't yet been challenged in ways that would make me a better leader, a better student, and most importantly, a better person. That person didn't yet understand that leadership isn't just about changing the team around you, it's about the changes that happen within you. It's not always the growth that you need, but the growth that you should expect. And tonight, I want to take you through one of the most transformative years of my life. Because the same moments of doubt, the same unexpected challenges, and the same defining experiences that shaped me can also help you step into your own leadership journey stronger, more resilient, and more prepared for whatever comes next. April 23rd, 2024, the day I was elected Collegiate DECA President, a day I will never forget. And when I say it was one of the happiest moments of my life, I mean that. I have never screamed louder than I did when my name was called on that stage. And if you see Blake up here in the front row this week, just ask him. He's the one on screen spinning me around. That night, I celebrated. I took it all in. I laughed with the outgoing president, shared the moment with fellow division members, and let myself feel the weight of what had just happened. And for a few hours, I let go of everything else. No responsibilities, no pressure, just gratitude. Gratitude for this organization, for the people who believed in me, for the opportunity to lead. But reality didn't wait long. At 2:05 a.m., not even a full day into the job, I received a message from a lead voting delegate. Congrats, tough competition. Don't make me regret our choice. I trust you'll do well. Half asleep, still running on the adrenaline of the night, I fired back a quick reply. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Now, at that time, I didn't think much of it, but when it sank in, it hit me like a ton of bricks. That was the moment that the weight of real leadership set in. Suddenly, this wasn't just a celebration. This was over 170 international chapters looking to me for guidance. And as excited as I was, those doubts started creeping in. Do I really have what it takes? And can I actually turn this division around? This was the first real encounter with something many of you know all too well. Imposter syndrome. How many of you, by show of hands, have ever questioned whether you belonged in the role you're in? Yeah? I see you. I've been right there with you. Imposter syndrome is that relentless voice in your head whispering, you're not good enough. You don't deserve to be here. It does not care about your achievements. It does not care about the work that you've put in. It just makes you feel like a fraud. And for the first, but certainly not the last time during my term, I started to doubt myself. I looked around and saw people with more experience, people who had been in this organization longer, people with big ideas, ones that I wasn't sure I could match. I asked myself questions that every leader faces at some point. What if I let people down? What if I'm not the right person for the job? But here's the thing. Leadership isn't about knowing all the answers on day one. It's about showing up, learning, and growing every single day. And my first test, it came the very next morning. Walking into officer training, I had to decide. Let the doubt win or step up and set the tone. Not just for my team, but for every member we served. And in that moment, I learned my first and probably most important lesson. Leadership is earned, not given. It doesn't matter if you're a chapter officer, a first-year DECA member competing at a district conference, or serving as an executive officer. Every single one of us has to believe we belong. Because if I had spent my entire term second-guessing myself, doubting my leadership, or questioning my place, we wouldn't have accomplished half of what we did as an officer team. You've probably heard it before. Confidence is key. Whether it's answering an exam question, walking into an interview, or stepping onto a DECA competition stage, own it. Say it with your chest. Be bold, be certain, and trust that you belong. I remember our leadership manager, Mrs. Taylor, pulling me aside on the first day of officer training. She looked me straight in the eyes and said this is your term. Do what you want while you're here. And from that moment on, I made a promise to myself. We were not going to sit back. We were not going to play it safe. We were going to give this everything we had. I didn't care about how many sleepless nights it took, how many conferences we had to attend, or how many members that we had to recruit. We were going to make every single day count. Because leadership isn't about the title you hold. It's about what you do with it. And from that day forward, we went all in. The late nights, the long flights, the speeches, the strategy sessions, the honor of stepping into one of the most transformative years of my life. And just like that, the 349-day journey officially began. Mid-July, our first official trip as a team, the first real test of what kind of year this would be. We gathered in Reston, Virginia at DECA headquarters, a place where the biggest ideas for this organization have been shaped for decades. It wasn't just about strategy lessons and planning meetings, it was about setting the tone, creating a vision, determining what kind of leaders we wanted to be for our division. But as much as that weekend was about DECA, it was about something even bigger. It was about the people, the connections, the organization that continues to shape me into who I am. Because in Reston, I didn't just meet my new team, I found my new family. And while they may not be your family, you might find it in another club, in DECA, a sporting team, anything, and they will be there for you. Each of them brought something different to the team. Different backgrounds, different experiences, different strengths. And at first, we thought success would be simple. We thought if we just tracked the right numbers, followed the data, and created the perfect strategy, we could, quote unquote, sell DECA to more students and associations. Yeah, we were completely wrong, because here's the truth. Numbers don't build a culture. People do. Spreadsheets don't create passion. Growth doesn't happen because of analytics. It happens because of students, advisors, mentors, and leaders who believe in what DECA can do for them. And that realization, it changed everything. I started thinking about my own journey, about the challenges of founding a chapter, the frustration of not having enough guidance, the feeling of having to figure it out all on my own. And that led us to ask, how do we change that? How do we create a division where no chapter leader ever feels alone? That's where our program of leadership came in. If we wanted to create real change, we needed a program of leadership that was more than just a checklist, more than just goals on a piece of paper. It had to be member-focused. It had to create real connections, real support, real engagement. So what did that actually look like? Part 1, leadership development. We focused on giving chapters real actionable strategies, not just for running a chapter, but for building something that lasts. Recruitment, collaboration, marketing, every piece of that puzzle mattered. And Purdue University took this to heart. They didn't just follow the framework. They built a program that made every single member feel like they belonged. That's the difference between a chapter that exists and a chapter that thrives. Part 2, member engagement. We introduced 2 brand new call types, one for new chapter founders, ensuring they had guidance from day one for chapter and association presidents, allowing us to connect with leaders worldwide. But these weren't just check-ins. These were real conversations. We weren't just giving advice. We were breaking down barriers, learning from each other, and finding new ways to grow Collegiate DECA together. Now, our friends in Oklahoma embraced this completely. They used these calls to push their association forward in ways that no one had seen before. And that's what engagement is supposed to look like: collaborative, intentional, and impactful. And then the biggest section, member recruitment. It was the heart of our mission. It wasn't just about increasing numbers. It was about building something sustainable. And some chapters took that to the next level. Take Eastern Carolina University, for example. They didn't just recruit a few members within their first month on campus. They recruited over 60. They didn't just raise funds. They raised $75,000 to send their members to ICDC completely free. That's the kind of impact we wanted to create. But the real key to everything we did, individualized support. Because our members matter. Our chapter leaders matter. Our association leaders matter. We made a promise as an officer team that we weren't just going to talk about supporting members. We were going to make sure that every single chapter, every single leader, every single student had the resources, the encouragement, and the face time that they needed to succeed. Because leadership isn't just about holding a title. It's not just about making executive decisions. It's about ensuring that every person in the organization feels seen, heard, and supported. And from that weekend in July through today, that's exactly what we did. We made ourselves available. We prioritized service over status. We put in the hours, the calls, the late nights, because the division and its members deserved it. And looking at where we are now, it was worth every second, because that is what leadership is all about. By the end of my term, I will have traveled to more than 10 different conferences. When you add in individual associations, training sessions, international competitions, and everything in between, I've had the privilege of experiencing firsthand just how much our work matters. And that includes you, our members, our chapter leaders, our association officers, because at the heart of everything we do, every initiative, every event, every strategy, there is one unshakable truth. Leadership isn't about the title you hold, it's about the impact you make. And whether you realize it or not, every single one of you here has the power to create impact. Sometimes it takes just a single moment to recognize that. For me, that moment happened this year as an executive officer. I've had the incredible privilege of hearing stories that remind me exactly why this organization is so special. I've met members who never had the chance to join DECA in high school and now say they wish they had. Fortunately for you all, you're already here. And I've talked to students who've started this journey with no leadership experience and are now thinking about running for executive office themselves. And beyond the executive officer title, we lead as college students. People who have been in the same competitions, faced the same questions, and felt the same doubts as the members we serve. Yes, there are responsibilities that require us to carry ourselves differently, but at the end of the day, we are just another group of students who love this organization. And I think that's why people buy into what we do, because when they look at us, they don't see executive officers. They see themselves. They see leaders who are here because we believe in something bigger than ourselves, because we've walked in their shoes, because we treat them as equals, because we see the potential in them even when they don't yet see it in themselves. And because of that, we've been able to help out some incredible people this year. One of the greatest privileges of this job has been experiencing both sides of mentorship in DECA. Not long ago, we were the ones looking up to leaders, searching for guidance, trying to figure out where we belonged. And now, we get to be those mentors, not just for members in our division, but for students just like you in our high school division. If you ask me what the best part of this job is, the answer is simple. We get to help people believe in themselves. We get to mentor students who are looking for guidance. We get to have conversations with members who want to know how to be successful, not just in DECA, but in life. We get to lead a group of individuals who are eager to grow, not just as competitors or professionals, but as people. And that has been the greatest privilege of this journey with this organization. And if this year has taught me anything, it's that the greatest thing that you can do as a leader is help others see the potential they already have inside of them. 349 days. 349 days of learning, 349 days of challenges, and 349 days of transformation. And now as this journey comes to an end, I want to ask you something. If this is your first year in DECA, please stand up. Take a look around. This is where it all begins for you. All right, our freshmen can take a seat. Now, if you've been in DECA for 2 years, please stand up. 2-year members, where are you at? You've grown, you've competed, and you've been a part of something bigger than yourselves. All right, the big group. If you've been in DECA for 3 or more years, stand up, give me some noise. You all have dedicated years to this organization. You've built experiences, created opportunities, and helped shape the next generation of leaders. Now, whether you are standing or sitting, I need you all to hear this. Every single one of you has the power to lead. It doesn't matter if you've been in DECA for 1 day or for years. It doesn't matter if you won first place or never made it past SCDC. It does not matter if you're an officer, a competitor, or you're just here because a friend convinced you to join. What matters is what you choose to do next, because leadership, it isn't about a title. It isn't about winning a trophy, unless it's glass, and it isn't about standing on stage. It's about what you do with the opportunities in front of you. I used to think leadership was about being the smartest person in the room. I thought I had to have all of the answers. I thought that I had to prove I was the right person for the job, but I was wrong. Because leadership, it isn't about standing above, it's about standing alongside your members. Because here's the truth, you are capable, you are ready, and you belong here. It doesn't matter if you feel 100% ready or if you still have doubts. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is that you start. And I know some of you might be sitting here thinking, but I'm not a leader. I hear that all the time. But let me tell you something, leadership doesn't always look like standing on a stage or making the big decisions in the room. Sometimes leadership is as simple as being the person who encourages others when they're feeling discouraged. In reality, leadership isn't about waiting until you feel ready. No one ever feels 100% ready. If I had waited until I felt ready to run for Collegiate DECA President, I would have never run. If I had waited until I felt ready to give my first speech, I would have never stepped on stage. And if I had waited until I was ready to leave, I would have missed out on one of the most transformational years of my life. And I don't want you to miss yours. So here's my challenge to all of you as we wrap up today. Make it count. Make this year count. Make your leadership count. Make the risks you take, the relationships you build, the moments that scare you count. Because one day you will all look back, not just on your time in DECA, but on your journey as a leader. You won't remember the titles. You won't remember the awards. You won't even remember the score you received on your DECA exam yesterday. You'll remember the people you impacted. You'll remember the challenges that tested you. You'll remember how you grew, how you pushed forward, and how you showed up even wasn't easy. And that is what leadership is all about. I want all of you to close your eyes real quick here. Picture yourself 1 year from now. Where do you want to be? What do you want to have accomplished? And what's stopping you from getting there? Now open your eyes. Whatever excuses just ran through your mind, let them go. Because the only thing standing between you and that very vision of yourself is the decision that you make today. So as I step off the stage, I leave you with one final thought. Whatever you do next, do it boldly. Do it unapologetically, and do it knowing that you are more than enough. Because this is just the beginning. Thank you.